Welcome to the show. For months, residents of Flint, Michigan have been blaming state officials for a water crisis they say should never have happened. In April, prosecutors announced criminal charges against 3 government employees accused of covering up critical information about lead in Flint's pipes. The people of Flint are demanding answers. CCTV's Roee Ruttenberg travels to the once booming industrial town to see how residents are dealing with the consequences of poisoned water.
Dewan Robinson is getting his children ready. He's taking them to get tested for lead after confirmed reports of contamination in the city of Flint, Michigan's drinking water.
Another day in the life in Flint.
They've been using bottled water for everything ever since. At a hotel nearby, Devontae Barnes, a sergeant in the Michigan National Guard, is starting his day. Barnes actually lives in the area. He recently got called up to serve in his hometown.
I went to Afghanistan in 2011, 2012. This is the first real stateside mission that I've ever partaken in.
Barnes will spend the next 12 hours handing out bottled water to Flint's residents. Just outside of town, Lanice Lawson is starting her day. Her 1.5-year-old daughter is still sleeping. Lanice is a registered nurse. She started a nonprofit called Bottles for the Babies. Every day she receives dozens of requests for water.
I have no transportation to get out and get any clean water. I've had a church been bringing me a case of water now and again. I've got 1 or 2 cases delivered by the city. Other than that, I'm drinking tap water.
The makeshift clinic at Eisenhower Elementary School is one of a number of facilities now offering free blood tests for Flint's residents. The medical team is made up entirely of volunteers.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yes,
You bringing
ma'am.
the babies down to get checked?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I have to get their names so that before they go in and get checked.
Delilah, D-A-I, L-I-A. We're gonna be very optimistic, and we're gonna pull through, right? We're gonna hope for the best. This is the very the hurtful part, right? When you gotta explain to the kids why we're here and what the reason for, and then their reaction to it all.
When you have to stop.
Anything itching or scratching, buddy?
The filtered water, obviously you can use it for cooking and coffee and teas and ice and everything of that nature.
Flint's residents have been advised to stop drinking water from the city's taps. The Michigan National Guard has set up shop at all of Flint's fire stations.
No, I think when you put on this uniform, there's a sense of pride, so this is what I signed up for. Good morning.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Have a good one.
You too.
We're all warm-hearted people, so we all have the same compassion for everybody. It's just different for me because I see some faces, and it's familiar streets. So, when I see them, it lightens up the situation a little bit for me. Just to see them, smile, shake my hand.
Lanice and her colleague are receiving several pallets of donated water.
As an RN, knowing what lead does to the body, there's no way in the world I could have sat around with my hands tied.
A moving truck will drive the bottles to a number of Flint schools.
Eisenhower.
Okay.
I believe she's at Eisenhower.
Okay.
They're figuring out which schools get what water and how much. How did a once booming industrial American city like Flint get here? Years ago, big automotive giants like General Motors and Chevrolet employed much of the town's population. They even built neighborhoods like this one to house workers lured to jobs in this part of northern Michigan. In the 1990s, the factories began closing, taking the jobs with them. A decade later, the plants, still standing, barely survived bankruptcy, thanks to a federal government bailout. By then, the industry was already in steep decline, and so was Flint. The investment had disappeared, tax revenues dwindled, and infrastructure crumbled. Michigan's governor eventually appointed an unelected emergency city manager, who 2 years ago decided to switch the source of Flint's water to save money. Flint's residents would now get their water from a local river.
The problem with the Flint River wasn't that the water was dirty. I mean, it was, but the bigger problem was that that dirty water wasn't being properly treated. In some cases, it wasn't even being treated at all. And as that corrosive water swept through the city's aging, lead-based pipeline infrastructure, some of that lead leached into the water and eventually made its way into Flint's homes.
Including Heather Beaches.
The water filter, I mean, it just had a fishy smell. It tasted like lake water. I mean, there was no, I don't even know what they did.
Heather has 5 boys.
As a mom, it's your job to keep them safe.
But she now believes a number of her children became ill as a result of Flint's water.
Spent a lot of time in the doctors. Things that we didn't really even realize were from the water, because we didn't really know. We just didn't know, you know. Rashes. Here's him in the hospital. Worst rash I've ever seen in my whole life. Head to toe, in between his fingers, in his ears, scalp. 3 of these, this one, and this one all go to Freeman Elementary. Freeman has the highest tested water, lead water, in Flint. The teacher turns on my little guy here, his pre-K classroom water, and it's orange. I tried to get people in there to test it, and they weren't allowed. The teachers couldn't allow anybody to come in and test. I wasn't allowed to bring water out to be tested. Why? Those who have nothing to hide, hide nothing, right?
Very good, so we'll leave 2. They're here.
That'd be perfect. Nearly all of the 300 school children in Greater Heights Academy come from low-income households in Flint, and most are African American.
It makes me furious, and I'm willing to bet every dime I've ever made that it would never happen in a predominantly, let's say, a non-minority portion of the state. It wouldn't have happened. Absolutely not.
Many of Flint's residents tend to agree with her.
We're dealing with a civil rights crisis that is perhaps generations long in terms of a response. Where you have disproportionate number of black, brown, and poor children in certain neighborhoods subject to elevated lead, that means that's a problem that grows up. That's a problem that goes to junior high school and high school. That's a problem we've got to deal with. When our children are bathing in lead, ingesting lead, affecting their mind, the lead crossing the blood-brain barrier, we've got to respond to that.
Which is exactly what Dewan, a father-turned-activist, is trying to do.
People just really not understanding how much of a crisis we in as far as the water goes. You know, that's where we can come in to help.
He and some of the other volunteers will be going door to door in one of Flint's poorest neighborhoods.
We're just out here in the community, just walking, taking the water to the people. Make sure we talk about the nutrition and how we can mitigate those levels of lead that's in the system. You know, water is a necessity, a human right. You able to get it?
I got it.
All right, you have a nice day.
Thank you.
How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing good.
All right, all right. When we come in, we just want to make sure that, you know, you have water. And everyone talk about evacuating and moving on and just leaving this behind, but, you know, I say no. You know, we're gonna stay here. We was born here. You know, we're gonna die here, right? And so, you know, this is home to us. If you don't want to invest into us, then you know what? We take an approach of investing in ourselves.
Thank you,
yes.
Both of you are.
Yes.
It's a blessing, man.
Can you just imagine buying a house in this city and then, you know, something as severe as your water, you know, just going bad, and how that affects your daily life, having to come up here just to get your supply of water for the day. Try, you know, making baby bottles, washing up your babies and bottled water. You know, that's something that doesn't happen in, you know, America. I know in Afghanistan that You know, water was in scarce supply. You know, a lot of people get sick from drinking the water, but you never think that would happen here.
Parts of this city really feel like a ghost town. This is what happens when a city built on an industry is ultimately abandoned by that industry. And now that there's confirmed lead in the pipes here, even those who have chosen to stay behind will find it impossible to ultimately sell their homes.
Now I just want to move. I want to get out. Didn't have to happen. And they knew that there were problems that they covered up. It blows your socks off, knowing the intricate lies and deceit and that's gone on over this.
Jada, how old are you? 2. Come here. Oh, you're such a cutie pie.
In young children, lead exposure at any level can lead to long-term cognitive disabilities. But because there are no early signs, without testing, lead is difficult to spot.
It is asymptomatic. It's known as a silent pediatric epidemic. Kids don't complain of anything. That's why we screen for it.
Dr. Monahana Atisha is a local pediatrician. She raised a red flag when she started noticing high levels of lead in the blood samples of children that she was already testing. At first, Michigan state officials didn't believe her figures.
Want some more?
The numbers didn't lie. But when the state tells you you're wrong, and they have a team of like 50 epidemiologists, it's hard not to second guess yourself. So that happened for a few hours, and then we went on the defense. No, we're right, and this is why we're right.
Are you getting their water?
Yeah. They're pretty resilient. You know, they're tough kids. They're used to going through hard times. And we can overcome this. That's why I'm in Flint, to prove the point that these kids can make it. They're strong. They're stronger than any kids I've ever taught before or ever met. And they have a passion for life like I've not seen. I love them like they're my own kids. I tell them I'm their mama bear, and nobody hurts my kids. And this whole thing, it's devastating to them. And it's not just hurting their emotions. It's poisoning them. And to think that my kids are being poisoned, it's really upsetting.
How you doing, brother? You know, these are kids, man. They don't know anything about the lead. They don't know what's going on. They don't know why, you know, we have to use bottled water to wash up. They really don't understand that stuff. So the best way is just keeping everything normal and explaining to them this is how it is right now.
So Michigan is a hand. This is what Michigan looks like, and we are surrounded by the Great Lakes. We are surrounded by the largest source of fresh water. And Flint is right here, literally in the middle of the largest source of fresh water. And we couldn't guarantee a population access to safe drinking water. This shouldn't be happening in 2016 in the United States, in the middle of the Great Lakes. It was a failure of government at every single level.
The federal government blamed Michigan state officials. Michigan's governor blamed state bureaucrats before ultimately apologizing and promising to fix the city's infrastructure. Not enough, says Heather, who, like many others in Flint, believes the negligence was criminal and that arrests should be made.
And if the governor was in your house, what would you tell him?
Go take a shower. I don't know. I mean, have a drink.
So the governor that sent you here is the same governor that lots of people are blaming for the crisis in the first place.
That'd be correct, but that's their opinion on the situation. I mean, I can't really give my political views on everything, but no, in my opinion, when stuff like that happens, there's a bunch of different reasons why it escalates to a certain point.
Like if they let us down with the life necessity of water, then what else can they let us down with? You know? So yeah, I would, if I was a kid going up in these times right now, yeah, I would have trust issues when I come of age. Look at this, man. They don't deserve none of that. They really don't.
I didn't get a high five from her. Seeing the smiles on the children's faces and the people's faces, it's what drives me. It's the reward that comes along with it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
It makes me realize that I would do this for free because I love being here. This is why we're here, to make a difference in their lives. And we feel like, we save lives every day. By teaching them how to read, we are saving their lives. By giving them clean water, we're saving their lives.
The children of Flint still have a long ride ahead of them.
The source of water in Flint has now been changed back, but experts say it could still be another year before the lead that is already in the pipe clears out.